violence because you're calling him things that the only way to take him out of power would be to commit violence.
Especially saying that he's not going to get out of office, that he's staying there forever.
Yeah. You don't get a dictator out of power by asking him nicely. The only way to get a dictator out of power is to kill him. So that's my thing. It's like the way that they speak, they feel like by calling the people that they disagree with politically the worst in a book, that signifies how serious things are. It's like, I think it's just bad discourse for the country, because if you tell people that this person is a fascist dictator, Mussolini, Hitler, Aryan baby, if you tell them that, then and if they truly believe it, then the people who support the fascist Hitlerian figure are also bad. Like, if I believe that would be true, and they would not even. Why would do you think that I would go to Nazi Germany if I took a time machine? Would I go to Nazi Germany and have a conversation with a brown coat or brown shirt? No, I wouldn't. What's the point of having a conversation with a fascist? You don't have conversations with fascists. You don't exchange ideas with fascists. Actually, to converse with a fascist is actually dangerous. That's what language means. So,
agreed.
So that's my
hold on. Let me get this. Haven't we had a discussion about Jordan Peterson recommending the book Ordinary Men, where it talks about how good people were groomed to do terrible things? The police were told, you're free to go, but this job needs to be done. And they felt they couldn't leave their friends in arms to march the naked pregnant women out into the field and kill them. So, like, I don't, what I'm saying is the line dividing evil cuts to the heart of every human, so Solzhenitsyn should be remembered. And also, still going back to what MG and Pink Pill and Free have been trying to tell us, like this whole room, Mother, you know that people, it was a vocal minority, but so was the vocal minority who objected to Sydney Sweeney wearing American Eagle jeans. And they got amplified. And I didn't see a lot of people from the left saying, wait a minute, this is a little excessive, y'all. Y'all okay? The white girl can wear her breeches or no? So if you, this is what I'd like for you guys to do. If you see leaders on the left condemning political violence, share that. Share the heck out of that. We want to see that. We actually want to be wrong about this. But the track record, as in the COVID lockdowns, as in the Russian collusion delusion, as in the number of conspiracy theories that the left has foisted upon us that the right was suspicious of, and then we turned out to be correct. Like, that's it. Show us where the good people are on the left, and we can recognize them, and we'd be grateful to. Who wanted to talk?
I want to hop in real quickly. Sure. Yeah. The thing is, really quickly, to what Mother said. Okay, we were Steven. You see, okay. The point is, we had a copycat of Charlie Kirk Killer at the ICE building. The guy literally looked at the schematics of what Tyler Robinson did, and he shot up the ICE vehicle. He killed, I think, 2 or 3 immigrants. And he was trying to kill ICE agents based on, his motive. So the point is, we literally see the outcome of this. That you're undermining what the fuck we're seeing. People are trying to do what they think is, and this is the biggest thing about the celebration. When we celebrate things, we call for more of it, whether it's music, event, whatever the case may be. You're celebrating the assassination of a political opponent, someone who's in the opposite position of you. So therefore, you provoke this copycat situation. So that guy did it, and the question becomes, which I'm sincerely concerned about, we're likely being targeted because you're telling your side that more of this is good. So it's not just okay, it's actually good. You need to kill Nazis and fascists. You need to kill people who are trying to take your rights away, etc. That's the problem. If he just killed me, he'll start saying, hey, we don't do it like this. And of course, some did. Of course, we know there's plenty of leftists who came out and condemned it. Joe Biden, Al Sharpton, the list goes on. But it's just not enough. It's too many. And actually, when you look at this, and I'll land on this, you see there's a gap between the generations. The older liberals, the leftists, they understood this is not how we should do shit. This is fucked up. So these people lived through MLK and Malcolm X and JFK assassination. So they knew this is not good for culture. The younger millennials, that far left group that's going to be the new leaders, they don't see nothing wrong with this. They're okay. And they're reproducing it, and they're shaming people into adopting their fucking ideology. So again, this is in line with what we're saying, the problem with celebrating and approving assassinations. You're going to get more of it.
Right. I think although most leftists aren't violent murderers, if the idea that words are violence, for example, are being spread by the leftists, being encouraged, and they're backing that idea, those lead to then the handful that are actually going to do something. So we need to find and push back against those ideas that are leading to the horrible incidents.
Hey, this is candidate John. I'd like to be put in the queue.
Oh, you can go ahead now.
Yeah, I'd like to request 60 seconds to read a poem.
Please don't.
We're having a really good discussion.
I'm going to put that on pause for just a little bit. I will let you know, candidate.
Damn, well, they already told you no, but you know what they say, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
I don't know why only you're encouraging stage people to ignore moderation.
I don't know
Weren't you
if I'm doing that. I was about to say something after. I was about to say something to different.
I crushed your joke. Sorry.
So, like, my thing is, I don't think that whatever momentum, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm kind of like an accelerationist. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. I'm kind of an acceleration when it comes to that. So, I'm kind of done with that.
But here's the thing. So you want it to like hurry up and get over with, right?
It's not that I want. Wants is a very particular word. It's not that I want $1 million and for world's hunger to be over. You know what I mean? It's not about what I want. People want a race war. They want to fight. There's a lot of.
That's not true. What are you
false.
doing?
There's a lot of people.
Go ahead. I'll reply. Go ahead.
I think that there's a lot of people who don't want it, but there's a lot of people who do want it, and I think a lot of people want it, and a lot of people, history repeats itself. That's just what I think. I think a lot of people like political violence. I think
you're repeating yourself
like
now,
violence against people that they believe that is deserved, and a lot of people feel like people on the right deserve violence, even if they're not going to be the ones who do it.
A race war and political.
Okay, hold on. So Oni joined the room saying the Democrat Party can be reformed. We can bring them back. I like Ezra Levine. Ezra Levine?
Ezra Klein.
Ezra Klein. Ezra Levine is my kind of Ezra. All right. And then now he's like, I'm an accelerationist. Burn it down, and so we can rebuild in the rubble. Which one is it?
Well, that's actually more anarchist than anything else, but go ahead.
I don't.
Not too much on anarchy, Joe.
I think you want me to fit into left-right paradigm, and I don't.
I'm asking you to be logically consistent.
No, but me having.
You're talking about renovation or demolition? That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, I'm saying that I see some hope that there can be renovation, but that requires a lot of accountability. That's still the majority of the Democratic establishment doesn't want to grapple with right now. And I was just sharing that. For the first time, I've seen a modern day person on the left that is saying exactly what I'm thinking. Not a little bit of what I'm thinking, exactly what I'm thinking. And if that ideology could be focused on, I prefer them over Trump in my opinion. But the likelihood of people on the left reforming their party is is low unless they keep losing elections. Even if they do keep losing elections, it doesn't mean that they have to change because we live in a two-party system. What I'm saying is the political momentum that is at play after Charlie Kirk is shot in the neck in front of his wife and children for his political opinions, that's not going away. That energy doesn't go. I believe in the horseshoe effect. That energy doesn't go away. There's going to be retaliation, then another retaliation to that, then another one. All right. So I'm saying that things look like they're going to get worse before they get better. Political violence is the way of the world. No one's condoning it.
Miss, I'd like to hear your comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I
Serendipity,
guess
here's the
I'm just
telegram.
First
Okay.
question is to the title of the room. What's the anti-USA propaganda? So are you saying that the children or that did have hand tie, that have zip ties on didn't happen? I'm just trying to understand the context.
I'm saying that the media portrayed the story to be one way, very clearly, and that when you went digging and looking for evidence of that, you couldn't find it. And then people that live there actually went and did tours of that building, which what had been foreclosed on was currently owned by the bank and supposed to be 100% unoccupied because they were going to renovate it before they resold it. And Venezuelan gang members ended up squatting in that building. And that is what that effort was targeted at, was the squatters of said building where children were taken and detained because of illegal parent. But on top of their illegal immigration status, there was drug paraphernalia and all kinds of other things confiscated during that raid. And yes, I was horrified at the thought of children being drugged from their beds in some random apartment complex that was targeted because they believed that Venezuelan drug lords were highly part of that. But that wasn't the situation at all. And there are no videos of children in hand ties. And all of the videos that have surfaced of all of the footage of the people with their cell phones, they don't have any videos of children in hand ties. So did it happen? I don't know. I don't feel like it's been validated or substantiated. The one video of the baby in the hand tie is actually a video of a police officer chasing after his toddler and pretending to arrest him.
Simplicity. What? So is that to say? Because I did pull up a couple articles that had similar accounts from individual. I think she was African American, U.S. citizen that was woken, living there legally
Not legally. She was squatting. Not legally. She was not there legally. There was no landlord for that premises right now.
So it was she was a U.S. citizen.
Was.
She was living rent free.
Yes, she was detained until she could verify her citizenship. Yes, that is true.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not I'm not in Chicago. I didn't take a tour of this building. We know that there's both sides of the conservative media and the left-leaning media will present a narrative of allegedly the same events that happened that are, with little dashes of hyperbole here and there. But it did. So wait. So is that to say? So let's say there were to your point, U.S. citizens that were squatting.
Yes.
So is that to say, or at least you're saying you haven't seen any video to substantiate, or
Correct.
that there were actually children in zip ties? But you're definitely agreeing that they were like definitely ousted out of their beds like they were going after El Chapo at 3 a.m. kind of thing, right?
Yes, they absolutely were. They absolutely were, and they were detained in vans until legal guardians could come and take them. Yes, absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because it's.
Do you find something
I
wrong with that, though? Do you find something wrong with that?
Wrong with what? With which part? There's different.
The raid on the building. Do you find something wrong with ICE executing U.S. law and removing people? Do you find something wrong with that?
Removing the known Venezuelan gang members? No. Nothing wrong with that at all. However, this was not a surgical procedure, Joe. So while the folks who were U.S. citizens that were squatting are technically, they're living rent free. They are not, that is handled by sheriff's office, not ICE.
What happened to them?
Sorry, Joe. I don't think I interrupted you. So if I could just finish.
Yeah, but you've been hogging the mic
I didn't
for a long
interrupt you,
time.
Joe.
You've been hogging the mic a long time.
No, he really
Wow.
he hasn't.
Are you okay?
He hasn't.
35 seconds.
I specifically asked for his
Aggressive
thoughts.
room. Aggressive. Wow.
I specifically asked for his thoughts because I wanted to hear them.
Thanks.
I do have 2 questions about the raid when there's room.
Yeah. I was just going to say to Joe's point, to answer your question, do I think the way that if they're going after, if that was a building just filled with Venezuelan gang members, have at it. Sure, I'm all for it. Absolutely. However, they clearly didn't do enough intel to realize that it wasn't just drug gang lords. There were people living there, albeit free, which I know is a no-no to squat. But if you're U.S. citizens and you're being treated as Venezuelan gang lords versus the standard law, I believe in most cities and states, the sheriff does the eviction for that sort of thing. If you're squatting, but I'll yield the mic. Thank you.
Yeah, the presumption was that it was one African American lady that was squatting there. The rest of them were related to the Venezuelan gang.
And I find it interesting that you're not able to call squatting a crime.
All right. My 2 questions are really quick. I understood
maybe
that.
you didn't hear me clearly. You didn't hear me. I said it is a crime, and that's why the sheriff's office handles that, not ICE agents. ICE agents don't handle squatters. I don't know where you're from, but ICE agents don't handle squatters. You're U.S. citizens. Yes, you should be evicted by the sheriff, but you are not a Venezuelan gang member who needs to be, extracted out of your room, your apartment, like a movie, in the middle of the night. The sheriff handles that crime for squatting, not ICE agents.
Okay, gotcha. Just real quick, Monica, please let me have this.
Well, but my 2 questions are super easy.
Can I just say this real quick? I promise I will be quick.
Go ahead.
They went for the purpose not to get the one American woman and have her be uncomfortable. The primary purpose was to solve a problem. And this was the byproduct of it, and it clearly was a mistake. Now, when you're dealing with, when you're talking about soldiers, or if you're talking about police officers, or if you're talking about security, sometimes people get hurt, and it's not meant for them to get hurt. What you're trying to say, the way that these conversations are often framed is because a person who incidentally was there when they were working on a major operation, that the majority of the people who are being detained or being apprehended are the ones that are being sought, and then they just so happen to find her. You're saying that the whole thing is wrong and we should just throw the whole thing out when it's an unfortunate casualty. I'm not saying that it's right, but you can't hang your hat on that.
Correct. They clearly.
I said ICE agents should have done enough better intel to realize there are civilians in there that, yes, are breaking the law with a misdemeanor that do not need federal agents to address. So, I can't believe they didn't do enough intel to realize.
The thing of it is, let me ask you a question.
Right,
in all sincerity.
You got it, Joe. You got it. Go ahead, Joe.
In all sincerity. Wait.
Son of a bitch.
Wait. wait.
Oh shucks, don't hurt my feelings. Jeez.
Go fuck
Hey,
You
off.
know he's being.
Miss,
Look,
I wanna know-
so you know he's being rude on purpose to get you mad. Don't fall for the bait.
Moose, I want to ask in all sincerity, and then I promise, Monica, you can ask him your follow-up questions. In all sincerity, Moose, if they're squatting and there is no lessee, there's no rental agreements to review to indicate who is housed in that building, and they have good intel that this Venezuelan gang has gone in and set up shop in this building, how are they supposed to vet who is in that building without
Oh my God, yes.
potentially tipping off the rest of the Venezuelan gang members that they're looking into that building? There's no way to vet that, Moose. Like, it's not like they could go to a property manager and say, give us a list of your tenants. I don't know what else you could have expected them to do to identify exactly who was in the building without tipping the entire building off that they're looking at them.
It's a fair question. That's a fair question. I mean, there is it's at the bottom. I guess at the end of the day,
Just say you have a point, and you don't have to extemporize longer, knowing that I've been waiting for 4 speakers to go before me to ask my simple
Oh, sorry.
2
Sure.
little questions.
So
I understood that the
I'll
ICE
yield.
raid.
I'll yield.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
thank
Go
you,
ahead, please.
thank you. Appreciate you. I understood that the ICE raid happened at 1 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because the people who were talking about it were very offended that there were 3 or 4 children out on the street unclothed, completely naked. Is that true?
The pajamas was the reference. They said almost naked or in pajamas.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
Wow, do you guys see how the framing is meant to enrage? They're pulling out children naked, not saying it's 1 o'clock in the morning and most people have on pajamas around that time. And then to also say, well, it's not good intel because there's no way to find out any record about the person. There's really, what it boils down to is there's nothing that these people can do that is going to be good enough because you don't want them to do it. Like, just say you don't want to do it. Just say you don't give a fuck about poor Black people being terrorized in their own communities, criminals who are both in this country and not in, and also who are in this country illegally. Just say it. Just say you don't give a fuck. Just say you don't care. Just say that you're perfectly fine living on the west side. Maybe you have a remote to your gate and you go in there and it makes you feel really good to make it seem like you care about these people when you really don't give a fuck. Because if you knew what went on into these neighborhoods, you wouldn't have the opinion that you have. The only reason you have the luxury to have this opinion is because you never have to live there.
Brandy, to answer your question, the reason they couldn't get a list was because they were all squatting. They weren't there legally. They were all squatting in that building. Nobody was supposed to be in that building.
If I could offer up something in terms of the squatting, there was somebody who reported that people had changed the locks and were squatting. I haven't seen anything definitive. It'd be great to see that if you had that. I think that it was unreasonable in terms of if you have individual specific judicial warrants, that's one thing, but when you don't, it appeared to be excessive force to me. And there are child welfare laws as well. You can't zip tie a minor unless they pose an immediate threat.
About that,
Excuse
Madison.
me, I was still talking.
Yeah, but you've got a detail
Okay,
wrong.
I guess you
I'll yield. You can go. No, don't be a diva. About the zip tie, tell us more.
I'm good, thank you.
Except you're not. Wait, did I get this wrong? Isn't it in the title? Serendipity, can you help me? Where were the kids zip tied? Like, if I'm wrong, I'll stand a correction, but I understood that Hakima's PTR is way wrong. Way, way wrong. a toddler was running out on the street and his cop dad handcuffed him for a joke. It had nothing to do with the illegal immigrants. So, Madison, can you share what you're talking about? Because maybe we are talking about two different things. I'll provide my link if you share with us yours.
Sure, I can share a link. There were witnesses. There was a neighbor, AP News, Reuters, local Chicago television said that children were zip-tied during the raid.
Except that it looks like it wasn't true, that it was reported that way, but then they realized that it was a little kid whose dad was chasing him and put handcuffs on him, and we weren't zip ties, they were handcuffs, which would have fallen off of him anyway. They were so loose. Like,
So
would you be able to, okay, in this case, if the people who are saying that this was a story that the media ran away with, and maybe people on your side believed, and if we can provide to you proof that it didn't happen, could we be at some place where we agree that we're getting fed a lot of information that's causing people to be enraged, information that isn't true?
Well, for me, first of all, I don't have a side in anything. And I went by the sources that I just listed, as well as a local Chicago Independent News website and eyewitness testimony. And of course, there are two things that convict: physical evidence and eyewitness testimony. So it depends on who we want to believe.
What I'm saying is that I did see the little kid being chased. I saw the little kid being handcuffed. He looked about
Link is in the chat.
to 2, and it was a joke. And so what I'm saying is that in the media can get it wrong. Can we just agree that sometimes the media gets it wrong because it fits into a narrative that they want to run with? Because the story's wrong. Like the child's father came on and said, "That's my kid. I was playing a joke."
Madison, that's the kid. That's the same kid, Madison. Click on my link. Look at the video. Look at the whole video.
X is a great resource. So are you saying there's just one child?
Hold on.
One child in question?
Hold on.
Yes,
Hold
that is
on,
the
sir.
only child that any photo has been provided of, and DHS has actually come out and said that they reject the report that children were zip tied, emphasizing that ICE officers do not restrain minors.
Respectfully, Serendipity Dawn is putting in the chat, and I think I saw similar things too, that they were saying it was multiple children, not the infamous one with the father being pregnant.
There were only 4 children. There were 4 children detained in that entire raid, ages 9 to 12. And there were 4 children that were detained because of either they were illegal or their parents were illegal. And they were aged 9 to 12, but DHS is saying that none of them were zip tied.
I can go with that if that's what's been uncovered. I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet.
Can you do it right now, Madison? It's not very long.
Sure, I'll check it out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of people think, look, when I'm fighting against information, if it's true, I wouldn't fight against it. I wouldn't argue we're missing something here. And the number of people that make up terrible stories, when sometimes the truth needs no embellishment. Sometimes the truth is ugly and terrible enough. Just share the truth. When I put in zip-tied kids in X and Moose, you can be stupid about X and not find it valuable, or you can realize it's a diamond mine with coal and you have to work a bit to get the value out of it. Like, I missed my point because I was fussing Moose. Doggone it.
No, but we get your point though, Monica. It's what you're basically saying is The truth doesn't need to.
Oh,
sometimes
I
it needs
remember.
to be embellished. Yeah.
I searched for zip-tied kids on X, and the latest story was one from May where an 18-year-old teenager was zip-tied with his family, and the younger children weren't. And I put that in chat too.
And see, the greater problem is not the woman, and she sounds nice. I don't have anything. I don't have any animosity towards you. The evil is the fact that she's gotten this information and it's not correct, and it's causing us to go at each other, hate each other, because it's a half truth is a lie, you guys.
Yes.
I watched the video.
Okay.
Sorry if I interrupted. But that I've never seen. I wasn't going off of that particular child at all. So
the link you shared was that child.
No, I didn't. I haven't shared any links. So
I'm sorry.
It's okay. But what I was going by, which I said before, was multiple eyewitness statements from residents and neighbors that zip tying was used, including on children, and the consistency of multiple independent news outlets. Now, I think these are persuasive. They're not conclusive. I'm not saying that they're conclusive. Maybe we'll find out later on. Maybe we'll find out later on from body cam footage, chain of custody records, their logs, different things like that. But right now, the preponderance of evidence is saying that children were zip tied. Now, if there's something that goes against that, and I'm not including the video, I hadn't even seen that kid who was playing. If somebody has something else, let me know.
It was Nasami. Nasami shared an Instagram video of the kid that we're specifically referencing. And preponderance, Madison, preponderance is not fair. It's not a preponderance of evidence. It's a couple of people reporting. And that's not that it's not evidence, but it's not a preponderance. And we should ask for more evidence than just anecdotal stories.
Well, again, that's what actually convicts people to many years in prison, is one person even saying that somebody did something. And so what I said was there are multiple witness statements, and you have so many multiple independent news outlets that are reporting that. They run the risk of also, and we all know that this is not always true. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying it leans in that direction.
But here's where my suspicion comes in. Everybody always has a cell phone. I just find it hard to believe that if children between the ages of 9 and 12 were put in zip ties, nobody on a street that's heavily dense would have gotten a photo?
Right. There were lots of other photos and footage of that raid. It showed adults in zip ties. Even the body cam of the ICE officers, apparently Christine Nolan has released to some extent. And there were lots of personal videos and pictures floating around, none that included children. Everybody has searched high and low to try and find one. That would be the photo everyone is looking for.
And when the last speaker said multiple independent news sources reported on this, you have to say that with the understanding that one person said it, one news source picked it up, and then all the other news sources cited that other source. So it's a bit of a game of telephone with that. It's not like they all have reporters on the ground who were party to this event.
Yeah,
I'm aware of a very good
and I used to write for the Reuters news service. And I'm going to tell you guys, there was so much pressure to be the first or one of the first to break a story. They don't even, they half-bake things, because the worst thing in the world for them is to miss a story. They would rather risk getting it wrong than not reporting on it if it's something that they know that their demo will want to see, or if it fits into a narrative.
Free Sis here.
I think Derisa was talking to me when you were talking about how news works. I did news for CBS for over 20 years. I know exactly how it works. What I was referring to when I said independent websites, I was talking about nonprofits like bookclubchicago.org. If you want to look up that site, you can. Southside Weekly Chicago. So those were independent sources that I was relying upon in addition to AP and Reuters.
Okay, fair. But are they citing their own original reporting, or are they citing some hearsay that they heard somewhere else? The point stands.
What I read was not just duplicitous in terms of just sharing what was already shared, and I read it like right when it happened a couple days ago, and so that's what I was going off of. But so if you guys are positing that there were no zip ties, do you think that the children were detained or no?
Yes. Yes. They
Okay,
were
and so
detained.
if they were detained, they were just running around willy-nilly in a U-Haul. How did they actually detain them?
They detained them in vans on the scene until they were able to place them with guardians. Some up to 3 or 4 hours was what the news was reporting. Yeah, I do believe that they were detained. I do believe that it was probably very traumatic for them. Honestly, the thought of them being ripped from their beds and zip tied and drug out was horrifying to me. It was absolutely horrifying to me. But at the time, I believed the news reporting and that this was just an apartment building full of potential antibodies. And when I found out that that was not in fact the case, like they had good intel that this Venezuelan gang had set up shop here in this vacant building. And based on the premise of that, that changes things for me. And I'm still horrified that those children were traumatized. I mean, it's never okay to traumatize children, but I have to hold the adults responsible that were squatting in those apartments with them. Like, you're setting yourself up. You're setting your children up for that kind of dangerous potential when you're squatting and you're violating the law and you're not housing them appropriately.
Now, why would you assume that people were squatting based on hearsay? I don't believe other elements based on hearsay.
If you look in the video above, yes, the entire building was supposed to be vacant.
Madison, there was posted legal notice.
Yes, there was posted legal notice. The building had been foreclosed on. The bank owned the building, and then they were going to renovate it before rehiring a property management contract. It was a vacant building. It was supposed to be vacant. No one was supposed to be in there.
To Madison's point, though, so let's say it's not zip ties. You're taking anyone into custody, right? Children, for their own safety, like they have to be somehow. Like, I don't think they gave them a bunch of seatbelts in the police van or the ICE van they drove off in. They had to be detained, be at a bar with a handcuff or a zip tie or something to secure them. I don't see how else you take children into custody. I don't think the ICE agent just said, "All right, kids, everybody has to sit down now. This is quiet time."
No, ICE is not allowed to transport.
While their family are being traumatized.
ICE is not allowed to transport them. They actually had to stay in the van on the site. DHS is the only one that can actually transport the children. And to my knowledge, DHS was not called to pick them up because they were basically just trying to place each of the children with a legal guardian.
That makes more sense.
Sir, I have something to clarify.
Was that you that was just saying the family was getting traumatized? No, those grown-ass adults traumatized their own children by coming to America and being drug dealers. I'm sorry. The children, my heart goes to, because I don't think they were taken in the route that they should have been. But to get them away from those little fuckers, I don't know what you do. I don't think they had enough staff to take them away appropriately. But as far as the family being traumatized, no, their parents deserve to be in prison if they have to get shipped out of the U.S. and sit in prison for the rest of their lives. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Beth, I think respectfully, you misunderstood. I didn't say the drug dealing family, the actual drug dealers, the actual cartel members. I said that the citizens that were caught up in it, that were squatting, that were allegedly squatting, that were not at all at zero connection to the Venezuelan cartel, specifically those families and their trauma. But go ahead, Doris. I mean, it's cut you off.
Not at all. All right. So I have something to clarify about the article in Book Club Chicago. I am familiar with Book Club. I stay on top of news in Chicago as a city that I'm interested in, and a place I lived for many years. Anyway, the only original reporting I see in the article is where it says residents told Book Club that their doors were kicked in. There's nothing about children being zip-tied. The only reference to children being zip-tied is a direct quote from a press conference that J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, gave, where he said there's widespread reports children being zip-tied. So they don't have anyone that they reported on saying children were zip-tied. In fact, they didn't even quote anyone. They just said residents told Book Club their doors were kicked in. So that's kind of weasel reporting, in my opinion, where they can't even quote someone directly. In any case, the only mention of zip ties are, again, J.B. Pritzker saying it, or them citing a New York Times article.
Oh, and the fact, sorry, I was taking a shower while I was listening, but whoever mentioned about the fact they came in at 1 a.m. I work for Department of Corrections for the state of Virginia, or only 3.5 years, but my job, the only job I had was to do home verifications. And guess when I found them? I found them on Super Bowl Sunday. I found them. I knew exactly when to find them. Guess when I found them? Between 11 at night to about 2 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't a fun job, kind of scary, but I knew these people weren't going to hurt me because their life depended on me. Because if I violated them, they'd be back in prison. But that is not a weird time for government officials to come in. 1 o'clock in the morning? No, not. You know you're going to find the little shit somewhere.
So I see that I've been trying to dig deep into this building, and I've been doing that. And what I'm finding is that, yes, it was into foreclosure, but right after the raid, Wells Fargo put it into receivership. And when they did, they treated it as an operating apartment building, not an abandoned building. So receivers are appointed to stabilize income properties, typically like with rent rolls and tenants. And so just based on that move alone, I'm looking for leases and that sort of a thing. But it does look like some of the units were abandoned, but it doesn't look like everybody in that building was squatting from what I've been able to find out so far.
What's the address, please?
1 second. 7500 South Shore Drive, Chicago, 60649. I've got the parcel number if you need that as well.
Madison, I've actually been looking up the same thing. Apparently 2 weeks ago, county inspectors had come out and basically condemned it. Put the notices up on the building that it was condemned and that, all right, the building housed dozens of residents, largely including undocumented individuals who were occupying vacant units, often referred to as squatters. I'm looking to see if there was actually anybody like on a lease.
I know some board in Detroit that runs like 14 buildings like that are basically condemned, and nobody's doing anything about it, and they still collect rent every month.
Chicago building inspectors visited property 2 weeks prior to the raid on September 16th. They documented unsafe conditions such as broken windows, water damage, mold, broken doors, illegal electrical setups. So, observed. The building's history includes prior city lawsuits over slum-like conditions, leading to vacate orders in nearby buildings. Yeah, because I wondered the same thing. I was like, let's just verify and make sure there was no like active leases in this building.
The last time I see a unit available for rent publicly listed was in 23.
I thought there were still active listings on, I think, apartments.com.
Hey, moderators, I'd like to get put in the queue. I know this address question is interesting, but if I could get 60 seconds of your precious clown house time.
No, mods, please.
We can, both sides of the aisle can agree on that, I think, Teresa.
Need to vacate orders.
Yeah, if you go on apartments.com, you can, just 2 weeks ago, you can rent. It's $9.75 a month at this very building.
Well, the building was in ruins and partially occupied by squatters. The residents were living there under dire circumstances, and the raid abruptly displaced many without prior notice or relocation support. It doesn't really. Let me see. Properties management.
Serendipity, this comes back to a question I had earlier, for all the people that have so much concern about everything, but they don't do anything about it. They don't go to their city council. They don't go anywhere. They just come onto social media and bitch about it, but they don't do anything to help anything. I mean, my daughter was an asshole in high school and in middle school. Guess what I did? I went to school board meetings. Hey, we need to get tighter rules. Apparently, children are misbehaving at school. But nobody does anything about it.
I think the ultimate lesson.
I would just want to call attention to that classic title you have there. That's it.
Yeah, Madison, I just checked out the links you put in the chat, and there are indeed active and current listings. Is that address?
Listings can be up and not actually be real or active.
Abandoning them amid restructuring.
I mean, I think this is a great lesson if everybody's so concerned for, excuse my maybe slight attitude. Everybody's concerned for the kids and stuff. I get that. But when individuals who own private property are prevented from exercising their rightful control over their private property, social order is going to deteriorate. That social deterioration is going to invite the beautiful and wonderful coercive state that's going to come in, and it's going to harm things that could have been completely preventable.
We already live with a corrupt judiciary, Bima. Nothing's new under the sun. It's already corrupt.
I'm just saying. So if you're one of those people who think that you have some, I have no idea, God, you're weird. It's pretty much insanity, however you're going to justify it, right, to control other people's private property, or you think government should limit people from how they control their private property. Well, this is an excellent example. People lose control of their private property. Okay, so then what happens? Criminal occupation, and then the state comes in violently and harms some innocent people. Innocent people get harmed in the making. Just let peaceful people who own private property handle their private property. They control it. It's private property or it's not. So we can't even call it private property. It's a contradiction here in the United States because you don't actually have the right to use and I don't know, get rid of your private property. What is private property?
I mean, I don't have any issue with enforcement. I think that all laws, especially immigration laws, need to be enforced, period. But if you are renting or squatting, if you're an American citizen, you need probable cause, you need a warrant, and a proportional use of force and humane treatment, period. That's where I land on it. So do what the hell you got to do in terms.
Yeah, well, when you have international narcotic terrorists living in apartment buildings in Chicago, sometimes a military response is warranted.
So, Deputy, okay, I want to clarify one other thing. You have to go on a site more like Redfin to verify that listings are current and active. Those have to be verified as you having the exclusive right to rent them on the MLS systems, where apartments.com is sort of like a Craigslist that you pay for. Anyone can post anything. You can leave up your posts indefinitely. So the fact that it's not on Redfin, but it is on apartments.com indicates it probably is an idle ghost.
It's a listing platform. They're both listing platforms.
And I would like to
They're
say,
not the same platform.
I would like to say too that ICE did have probable cause warrants for that raid.
Well, then that confirms what Madison is saying. Madison agrees with the actions they took.
And that
Yes, it was.
they should have had individual apartments.
The private property
They
owner should have.
They couldn't because they couldn't validate the squatters, but they did have probable cause and reasonable grounds to conduct the raid, and it had been approved by DHS.
Government shouldn't interfere with people that have private property. Let them deal with their own private property their way.
They didn't. They were squatters. It wasn't their private.
Yeah, and if that was true, Bima, nobody would have to pay property taxes.
Hey, John, control yourself. I'm not talking about the squatters. I'm talking about the people who own the building. Who does the private property belong to?
It's a bank of properties.
You keep saying squatters if there's evidence that somebody was a squatter, but y'all need evidence that people were zip tied. Like, you can't have it both ways. There's no evidence to show that everybody was squatting in that building.
No, there's no evidence, but there is evidence to show that the building was primarily occupied by Venezuelan squatters.
Oh, there is evidence of that?
Yeah, there's hold on. Oh shit! Damn it! I just lost my link.
Yeah, they had probable cause. Do you think they just went in there without any paperwork?
Guaranteed they weren't able to deal with. You think that the bank, that they had no idea what was going on with their building?
It's an investor. It's an owner. It has nothing to do with the legal enforcement that came down on the illegal aliens in that building.
Most of the time what happens, and this is, whatever, is there are squatters, then you can't legally take care of them because you have all this red tape of what you can and can't do.
We're talking about two entirely different things. If you're enforcing landlord rights against squatters,
that's not good enough evidence.
And have you guys? I mean, there's been stories about squatters that have gone into homes. There was one woman who inherited her mother's house and could not get into the home illegally and got arrested because she was like, "I did not sanction this. These people were in my house." And she was, you guys.
The building reported them.
I really can't.
The building reported the squatters, according to this report. ICE's authority to enter and search the building stemmed from a judicial warrant that was issued by a federal judge based on the probable cause that the property was being used as a hub for illegal immigration-related activities, including human smuggling and harboring undocumented individuals. The sources for the probable cause warrant included residents and property managers of the building reporting an ongoing issue with these squatters. Surveillance and observation plans then went into place. ICE agents